we got our new information. So let's see how we do. Emma's out of the picture. The court will now reconvene for the trial of Miss Lana Skye. Emma didn't come back. Allow me to call the next witness to the stand. The officer in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day of the crime. Alright, we got this dude back. Witness, please state your name and occupation. Allow me to drink my alcohol first. Me, partner? Oh, I'm just a man, same as you, wandering the trials of civilization. Occasionally helping the elderly cross intersections when needed. Yes, we get it. Oh, I know. You're a patrolman. Yes, he is. As for my name, if you listen hard enough, you can hear the howling wind calling out. To be exact, it's Jake Marshall, Your Honor. Howling wind? I never heard Edgeworth describe it that way before. Now, Mr. Marshall, let me ask you something. You were in charge of guarding the evidence room on the day the crime took place. Is this correct? According to the papers, partner. What do you mean? A desperado's soul is boundless as it stands. No paper can sum it up. Maybe it's best we get on with this quickly. Please share with us your testimony on the day of the crime. In plain old English! Man, the judge will never not make me laugh, dude. My job was to keep a wary eye on the Bone Orchard. They say I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day, but that ain't my style. Besides, the room's protected by 2 security systems anyway. If I remember right, I was at the street side saloon by the time it all went down. I'm just an innocent traveling man, so if you're out of ammo, it's time I hit the trail. Yeah, sure. I can't say I particularly care for your attitude. You could say, he doesn't like his attitude. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, I mean, he's shaving his, like I just shaved mine. Wait a minute. What do you mean by 2 security systems? I mean the security cameras and the ID card reader. I reckon an old cowpoint like you knows about those. Yes, well, what about the fingerprint-activated locks on the evidence lockers? Fingerprint-activated locks? What kind of newfangled doohickeys are those? He's not being very helpful. He's not that good with machines, or with following orders. Everyone's got their weaknesses now, don't they, Mr. Prosecutor? This one seems like trouble. Okay, Mr. Wright, he's all yours. Well, let's see, because he's not exactly doing his job if, and I do mean if, he was, supposedly at this saloon. How exactly did you keep an eye on the evidence room? I just made sure nothing moved in the security camera monitor. That room's so still, even time dies in there. I was just a caretaker who interred in recordings. You interred them? Videos are nothing aren't that useful. When the time would come, I'd erase the tape. If nothing unusual is recorded, tapes are to be erased every 6 hours. Each time I erase a tape, I feel like I was erasing a part of my life. This guy has a flair for the dramatic, but this isn't going to do him any good. So in actuality, you don't physically enter the evidence room? They said I was supposed to make rounds 3 times a day in there, but it ain't my style. But you made your rounds on the day of the crime, right? Ain't you heard a word I said, partner? I told you that ain't my style. I'm afraid I don't understand. No desperado I know lets rules get in his way. No desperados I know joined the police force. So, Officer Marshall, on the day of the crime, just between you and me, I didn't set foot in the evidence room that day. There was a rubber glove stuck in the victim's locker. Do you know anything about that? Sorry, partner. Can't say I do. I haven't been in that crypt in weeks. So how does this guy avoid being fired? Yeah, exactly. He's not exactly doing his job. You used to be a detective, so you used the evidence room in the past, correct? Of course. Back in the day, my locker was a gold mine of evidence. And yet, you didn't know about the fingerprint locking mechanism. Sorry, partner. I ain't good with machines. I couldn't even tell you how a bike works. That's quite incredible. The sensors on the locker handles cannot be seen. It's well known that detectives are unaware of their presence. Now that he mentions that, Detective Gumshoe said something like that too. At any rate, it doesn't seem that this is relevant to the crime. Can you tell us what you were doing when the crime took place? If he remembers right, he was at the bar, I think. What were you doing in a place like that? I was eating spaghetti. Not even Angel Steak lunches can beat that parlor's Vongol Spia spaghetti. Or his sepia spaghetti. Do you mean to tell us you abandoned your police duties to eat some noodles? Not all desperados eat tacos, partner. That's not what I meant. I hope this has at least taught you a lesson. That's strange. This is usually where Edgeworth says, "Objection! Did you not want to race this year?" Just an innocent traveling man. If you're out of ammo, then it's time to hit the trail. Out of ammo, Officer Marshall? That's right, partner. Or as you call it, evidence. If you plan to pin me on this crime, then you better draw. Otherwise, you'd just be wasting my time. My steel horse is waiting to carry me back west to the sunset. One thing seems clear. Despite being responsible for guarding the evidence room, the witness doesn't appear to have seen anything. Texans don't take orders from anyone. Everyone knows that. Apparently your superiors don't. Okay, I have a trump card up my sleeve. So I best keep my cool. Before I use it though, I better up the ante. Okay, what can we present here? We can't exactly go for the kill yet. I mean, let's see. From past case, investors brought back to his office. Well, it can't possibly be that, so let's see. Allow me to think before I cut away. Yeah, no, I really can't think of anything other than to just go for the kill right here. It's like, yeah, here he explains that he was supposed to make 3 rounds a day, but it ain't my style. He supposedly says he's at the bar, but we know that's clearly a lie. Like, why would he be there when he claimed? Why would he be at the thing when he claims that he hasn't been to the thing in like a while? Yeah. Officer Marshall, doesn't it strike you as odd? That is, you being called in to testify like this? After all, you weren't in the security room at the time of the crime. And yet you dragged me down here. Explain yourself, partner. It's quite simple. You left a very large trail behind at the scene. Or to be exact, a handprint. Listen real good, partner. Like I said, I'm the caretaker of that crypt. I pay my respects, that is, make my rounds about once a month. It's only natural my fingerprints would be in there. I only wish it were, officer. But you see, your fingerprints were covered in blood. Witness! What is the meaning of this? Your bloodstained fingerprints were at the crime scene? The blood was wiped away. However, a luminal test clearly revealed this. Well, Officer Marshall? seems to me... Oh, what you gonna pull out of your ass? There ain't a person in this room with a head on its shoulders. I take it that you have an explanation then, Officer Marshall. About the bloodstained fingerprints? Very well, you may begin your testimony about your fingerprints found at the scene of the crime. Alright, what you gonna pull out of your butthole? Did you cut them? Did you, like, dip them in a pool of blood? Like I said, it's only natural for my fingerprints to be in that evidence room. One of them just happened to be at the same place as the bloodstained handprint. The murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. Yeah, the murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was. Huh. The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated. But didn't you know that the murderer was wearing gloves? See? I had nothing to do with it. Okay. The witness's explanation appears valid, although there's room for doubt. Life wouldn't be fun without any doubt, partner. The defense may now begin to cross-examine the witness. This guy's hiding something. I can feel it. Now's my chance to prove it. Ooh. Come on. Let us see what we have here for Mr. Texas. That's because you, how did you put it? Pay your respects once a month? Yeah, that's right. That and one more thing. That locker appears to be mine. It was his locker. I mean what I said. That's the locker I used when I was a detective. The locker I still use. All that's in there now, though, is a heap of broken dreams. I see. It'd be strange if my fingerprints weren't all over that locker. Apparently his fingerprint data was never removed from the locker's programming. He must have been using the fingerprint lock all this time without ever knowing it. Okay. Found on a bloody handprint on Marshall's own locker. The print had been wiped. Okay. So then, what about the bloody handprint? Wasn't mine. It's no mystery. Please explain. My locker was covered with my fingerprints. It just so happened the murderer touched the locker where my fingerprint was by chance. By chance? The chances of that happening are 1,000,000 to 1. On the contrary, one could just argue the opposite. The chances of that of not happening are 1,000,000 to 1. Get that one thing straight, partner. You ain't gonna get no reward from me for a mere fingerprint. Wanna know why? The bloodstain and the fingerprint are completely unrelated, huh? Unrelated? They're as different as night and day. Kind of like cereal and cereal. One's got to do with breakfast, and the other's a type of murder. He's right. Although seemingly alike, they're totally different. I don't see what homonyms have to do with this. Yeah, exactly. Like, if there's one thing I know, is that homonyms are things that sound similar. How do you know that? I may be a loner, but I still do my job. I keep up on the reports. There was a bloodstain on the scene, thought to be left by the murderer. That's right. It was found on Detective Gumshoe's locker. However, I think we tried that too. So that would mean the murderer wearing gloves happened to place their hand on top of Officer Marshall's fingerprint. That's the only logical conclusion. Are you starting to get the picture, partner? The picture? This seal of blood in the desert is just food for the buzzards. There's only one reality, and that's this. The security tape. So long as my trail isn't in there, you can't say otherwise. This isn't getting us anywhere, Mr. Wright. Please consider carefully what you're going with this cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Now then, continue your testimony, Officer Marshall. Too bad it wasn't me in the video, right, partner? Yeah, too bad, I guess. What do you mean by that? You want to tie me into this crime, isn't that right, partner? If so, the video is the only direct evidence you have. But that video is next to useless. It's full of blind spots. Blind spots? Places you can't see. The camera's panning back and forth. The floor isn't shown. And if someone familiar was in that camera's position, they could leave the room without being caught on tape. We don't have time for your speculations, Mr. Wright. Well, Mr. Wright, if you can show us evidence in this video that indicates Officer Marshall was present, please do so now. Like, is there really, like, no one in that video? Nothing in that video? Like, I can't necessarily, you know... Wait a minute, the handprint on... No, wait, that couldn't have been it, because because I'm thinking, like, there's a handprint that's on the Blue Badger. Now, I don't think it could have been Marshall's, because clearly Meekins brought it in to, you know, to do something with. I totally forgot what it is, but like, I don't know, man, but we might as well show the evidence anyway. Very well. Allow me to point out your mistake, Officer Marshall. Tread carefully, Mr. Wright, or you might wind up being the one making the mistake. Now then, let's have another look at the video. Let us do that. Show us this incriminating evidence of the witness, Officer Jake Marshall. Okay. Well, let's see then, because I'm gonna basically have to look for basically everything that I might possibly do. Because what I'm thinking is that the handprint probably, but like, if I make a mistake, then, you know, I'm done. Then, you know, that's, I get the stupid thing. Wait a minute, hold on. What, wait a second. Oh. Wait a minute, pause it. This wasn't here before. This was not here before. Like, how could this just show up now? Seriously, what? Bringing our attention back to the security camera is a mistake I'm afraid you will not soon forget, Officer Marshall. The days are short in Texas, so are our tempers. Could you sum up what you have to say in 8 words or less? Very well. You can be clearly seen in the video. Exactly 8 words. Not bad, partner. The key lies in a certain locker shown in the video. Right there. The locker with the white cloth sticking out. That was the witnesses, I believe. Now then, let's rewind the video a little bit. And of course, it's going to go very, very slowly, so I might as well just talk about, you know, my day. Yeah, it was good. Finn and Jack had a good time because they're both dogs and I love them very much. You know, Jack's very cute. He's very cute. Oh, the white cloth! It's gone! What is the meaning of this, Officer Marshall? When the crime took place, the white cloth wasn't there. Then it suddenly appeared. There's only one explanation. Officer Marshall, you were in that evidence room at the time of the crime. What's more, you opened your locker when the camera was turned away. That's right. That's right. That's right. It would seem to only... Hold your horses! Sorry, partner, but you got the wrong man. How? So what if my locker was opened? That doesn't mean I'm the one who opened it. Really? The murderer needed to hide something, so he opened a locker and stuck it in. It's not my fault he happened to choose mine. Really? Why is everyone staring at me like I'm a wanted man? This guy isn't just plain dumb. He really doesn't know. I hate to rain on your parade, but you're the only person who can open that particular locker. Oh yeah? I call you bluff. You say that I opened your locker. Now prove it. Oh. Oh. Okay. Okay. Only the assigned detective Prince can unlock it. The lamp lights up when opened. Let me check that video again, because, well, here's the thing, though. Here's the thing. Because, no. I don't even have to check the video. Yeah, no. I don't even have to check it. Because the thing would light up. Fingerprint sensor? Yeah, no, because we talked about this earlier today. The lockers can only be opened by the detectives they belong to. What kind of crazy talk is this? Well, Detective Gumshoe did mention something about this. In any case, the locks aren't that obvious. There are even some people who There are even some people on the force that don't even know about the fingerprint locks. Yeah. So, Sheriff, what do you have to say in 8 words or less? He's getting flustered. I only got 1 word for you, partner. No! No! I love it when they freak out, dude. Witness, explain yourself. If this is a joke, it's the worst I've ever heard. I assure you this is no joke, Officer Marshall. Now then, please tell us what you were doing in the evidence room at the time of the crime. Olé! Please answer the question. What is he now, a bullfighter? That's all right, Officer Marshall. I believe we can figure out the rest from here. We can? Have a look at these floor plans. There's no place for someone to hide in the evidence room. Yet Officer Meekins didn't see Officer Marshall. Yeah, because he was unconscious. If that's so, then where was the witness? It seems Mr. Wright has an answer. That's right. The only possible conclusion. Oh boy, this is going to be another case where... Yeah. Well then, let's hear it. Where was Officer Marshall at the time of the crime? I mean, clearly... Yeah, at the time of the crime, here is where... This is where Meekins was at, right? No, yeah, this is where Meekins was at. This is where the murderer is. There's no possible way to hide, so clearly... He must have been, like, right here, was he? This is where he entered. This is where he entered, so... Yeah. Like... No. This is... No, that's just where he entered. Yeah, no, really the only place I can probably, like, think about is, like... Right here, because no one would be able to see someone come in here. So it's like, how could you possibly see him where this... Officer Marshall was standing right here. There? But that's where the victim, Detective Goodman... What? Correct? Unless the man wasn't... I believe the victim in the video is Officer Marshall. It was you dressed up like Detective Goodman. But that's preposterous! Officer Meekin witnessed the detective at the crime scene. Once he saw the man's face, he'd know for sure. May I point out, though Officer Meekins did not know Detective Goodman, he also testified about the man's reaction when confronted. When he entered the police, I asked him to show his card. Yes, and how did Detective Goodman respond? He suddenly pulled a knife on him. Yeah, dude. Something about the officer's story puzzled me. If the man had seen his ID card, then why didn't he just show it? Yes, he would have needed to enter the evidence room, so he must have been carrying it. The answer is simple. He couldn't show it. Yes. As you can see, Detective Goodman's picture is on his ID card. Oh, I get it. If he showed that, his cover would have been blown. Officer Meekins would have realized the man wasn't Detective Goodman. Do you have anything to say about this, Officer Marshall? Got him! You got quite an imagination, partner. We got a term for that. It's called circumstantial evidence. Circumstantial evidence? He's still denying it. You're gonna have to do better than that to break a detective. Unless you have hard evidence proving I dressed up as the victim. I can't say I particularly care for your uncooperative disposition. I can't say I care for your beard, but you don't see me complaining. Well, Mr. Wright, do you have evidence proving beyond a shadow of a doubt that Officer Marshall dressed up as the victim? Well, who am I kidding? I don't have anything like that. I can see the fear in your eyes, partner. Seems you're the one who couldn't take the desert heat. This can't be happening. It's so obvious he's the one. What can I do? What you got now, buddy? It looks like your lack of experience has finally been exposed. Oh, I'll pass on to you what someone told me when I was just starting out. When you've run into a wall with no place to go, return to the basics. The basics? For me, that would be what Mia used to tell me. Phoenix, try thinking outside the from case 1. I shouldn't look for proof that Officer Marshall wasn't in disguise. But rather, I should look for evidence that came up because he was in disguise. Look for evidence that came about because of that. Why do you think this locker was opened in the first place? What do you mean? There's no reason for Officer Marshall to open his locker at the time of the crime. Yet he did, despite the chance it might be discovered later as it has been. Which means he didn't originally plan to open his locker. According to the defense's argument, Officer Jake Marshall dressed up as Detective Goodman at the time of the crime. Then, after the crime was committed, he opened his own locker for some unknown reason. The fact that a white cloth was sticking out of the locker seems to indicate that he opened it in order to put the cloth inside. So, just what exactly is this piece of cloth? Perhaps the video is the key to all of our unanswered questions. I don't have any evidence, so this video's my only shot. Very well. Let's take yet another look at the security tape. Here we go again, folks. After committing the crime, the witness opened the locker and put away the white cloth. Please show us why the witness had to open his locker. Well, that may be so obvious because it was covered in blood, wasn't it? Because here's the thing. Like, here comes Officer Meekins right here. Then we pause, and then we go frame by frame exactly right here. So there's him going at that. And we do that. Yeah, to hide evidence, like right here. Like his things was covered in blood. It goes back to my theory of like it goes back to my theory of like, you know, why was Lana wearing that shirt that was clearly covered in blood in the shoulder? So yeah. For some reason, you disguised yourself as Detective Goodman and entered the evidence room, though I don't know to what end yet. However, something unexpected happened. Officer Meekins barged in on you. When asked to show your ID card, you pulled a knife on him. However, Officer Meekins panicked, and the white coat you were wearing was soiled with blood. A bloody white coat. You couldn't just walk out like that, so you hid the coat in your locker. Not bad, partner. Yeah! Finally! God! Now then, Officer Marshall, are you ready to tell us the truth? Looks like I underestimated y'all. I hope you're happy now, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, if you were only half as persistent then as you are today, we all wouldn't have been here now would we? Wouldn't have been here now. Officer Marshall, tell the court what you did. All of it. All right. Seems the time has come. Let's do this. I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand by and let it die. I stole the detective's ID and dressed like him. I planned to take out the evidence. I wasn't expecting Officer Meekins. I knocked him out and managed to escape. I knew which areas wouldn't be caught on camera. There wasn't any murder in the evidence room at 5:15. Yeah, it's like I said, it was merely like a fight rather than a murder. So the supposed victim really was you. But there's one thing I still don't understand. Traces of a large quantity of blood were found on the floor of the evidence room. That could have been Meekins' blood. If no one was murdered, then how could that be? Officer Meekins managed to cut his own hand. Yeah, exactly. My guess is that he's the donor. It was way too much blood for just one small donation. Alright. I know I'm saving a lot, but this is just how I do, man. When you say it, you mean... Do you even have to ask, partner? The SL9 incident. 2 years have passed since that case was closed. It was going to completely end with the transfer that day. Not if I have anything to do with it. That incident's not over. So what did you hope to accomplish by sneaking into the evidence room? When the case is closed, only that case's lead detective can look through the evidence. I want to have a look at myself one more time. No matter what the cost. I don't care what anyone says, partner. That case is mine. But Officer Marshall wasn't in charge of that investigation. Why does he care so much about it? That day was my last chance. That's why I stole the card. Yeah. See, This is why I do my homework. This is why I do my homework and check everything. Except I only started to check everything in case 5. Yeah, because my guess is that this Neil Marshall person is important to Jake. Why did you disguise yourself as Detective Goodman? If I didn't make it look like Goodman was carrying out the evidence transferal, I'd be arrested for stealing evidence, which wouldn't get me anywhere. So you did it to fool the security camera. And the detective's ID card? I stole that the morning of the incident. So it really was why Goodman started filing that lost item report. I returned his ID card. I left it on the floor in the prosecutor's office parking lot. The ID card I found was left there by Officer Marshall. So essentially, you managed to succeed despite your lack of foresight. What do you mean, partner? I mean the fingerprint-activated lock, of course. No matter how well you disguise yourself, you can't change your fingerprints. Under normal circumstances, you wouldn't have been able to open that locker yourself. But he could because a rubber glove just happened to stick out of the door, to get stuck in the door. That means Detective Goodman must have opened the locker before Officer Marshall. Yeah, exactly. Now what? You pulled a knife on Officer Meekins and tried to drive him off? Let's just say I was a little surprised. I only planned on being in the evidence room for no more than 5 minutes. I didn't think anyone would actually come in during that short time. Officer Meekins is certainly a 1 in a million type of person. Mistaking a detective for an intruder and demanding to show his ID. I will have to think a little bit more about his raise this year. Called it! When did Edgeworth get so much influence? Anyway, he threw himself at me, and I ended up cutting him slightly. I'm sorry it had to turn out that way. With me knocking him out and everything. By the way, what happened to your knife? Oh, you mean this one? I don't know what to say. So you knocked Officer Meekins out and... Then he managed to escape. He knew which areas couldn't be caught on camera. So you did your research beforehand. Those who go into the desert unprepared don't live long, partner. I didn't think it would make much of a difference, though. The security tape is erased every 6 hours. If all gone as planned, no footage wouldn't have been left. However, you bloodied your coat in your struggle with Officer Meekins. If someone was in the security room when I came out, the jig wouldn't have been up. So I opened my locker and stashed it in there. What was Officer Meekins doing during that time? What else? He was sleeping like a baby. So what you're saying is, on that day, it wasn't any murder. It was only merely a fight. But the blood found on the scene certainly indicates a crime took place. What are you, blind? Victim shown on the tape is me. And I'm not dead yet, partner. So you stole the evidence from the locker? Actually, no, I didn't. Oh, what? Why not? When I opened the locker, the evidence was already gone. Ah, what? Mr. Edgeworth, where was that evidence? It's still missing, Your Honor. It's still missing? Detective Goodman's locker was already empty. Someone stole the evidence. Officer Marshall, may I ask you one thing? Fire away, partner. It's a free country. Just remember, I'm also free to decide whether or not to answer. Why did you do this? Stealing a detective's ID, injuring a police officer? This is no small offense. Moreover, you're an officer yourself. This will have serious consequences. You can't just be forgiven with a simple cut in salary. Not that salary cuts are ever a valid solution. Yeah, see, Nick gets it. Like I said, this isn't your case. This one is mine. and I'll do anything it takes to get an answer I'm satisfied with. The witness has an unusual amount of zeal. Let's hear more. I can't just forget the SL9 incident. You know why? But that case was solved 2 years ago, wasn't it? That's the reason the evidence was stored in the evidence room. Joe Dark was convicted for his crimes. One thing I can say for sure is he deserved his sentence. I remember the Joe Dark case. It involved serial murders, didn't it? I don't tend to complain about how it turned out, but there's something that still bothers me. Something went down at that trial. Something no one will talk about. What happened? I don't know. That's what I'm trying to find out. Why is he so concerned with that incident? Maybe I should present him with what I think is the real reason is. I had a feeling we'd wind up here sooner or later. Everyone involved here is related in some way to that case. Better take another look at the files. Yeah, exactly. Like, I can't just forget the incident. Yeah. But the real question is, like, do we present the files? I had to do it that day. I couldn't just stand there and let it die. What about on the last statement? Yeah. Because, according to the files, the victims were a marshal. The head prosecutor was Edgeworth and the Skies. And, yeah, the Skies were the witnesses. The investigators were a Sky and Kent. And the head investigator was Goodman, and the investigators were both him and Angel. This is why I do my homework! Officer Marshall, I think I understand. I think I know why you care so much about the SL9 incident. Sounds like you've been sipping too much cactus juice, partner. I have the SL9 incident file right here. The name Marshall is mentioned here. In the list of murder victims. Neil Marshall. Are you related to this man? Neil Marshall? Yeah, I'm sure you heard that name. 2 years ago. Oh! He received the same lousy prosecutor award you got. Whoa! What? A prosecutor? He was a prosecutor? I thought he might have been like an officer or something. He must have been talking about the King of Prosecutors Award. Now I remember. Prosecutor Neil Marshall. He handled the SL9 case before I did. That's right. He was killed. And the case fell into your hands. But what's this relation to you? He was my brother. He was investigating the murders with Damon Gant, the then Deputy Chief of Police. Knew he could have been a brother or something. Man! The group of detectives I was part of worked under them. We were desperate to prosecute the killer. Oh, look at this guy. Joe Dark. My brother fought Dark and was killed. This was the first time Dark left behind any evidence. That was all we needed. He was arraigned and incarcerated. The case was finally closed. At least according to the public records. What do you mean? My brother couldn't have been killed by Joe Dark. I knew my brother better than anyone. No one couldn't have beaten him in a fight. And that's it? That's your reason for your insane actions? There's more to my brother's death than what the records say. No matter how much you try to hide it, you can't fool me. Well, At least one thing's for certain. Now we know what happened at the police department on the day of the crime. That was the last day the SL9 case could be reopened. Not satisfied with its resolution, Officer Marshall planned to steal the evidence. Disguising himself as Detective Goodman, he entered the evidence room. Officer Meekins confronted him, so he rendered him unconscious and fled. Yes, this mystery has finally been cleared up. No murder took place at the police department that day. Yeah, exactly. The things that happened by chance never cease to amaze me. At exactly the same time as the murder at the prosecutor's office, this fake murder was going on at the police department. Dang, dude. That's crazy. That's actually kind of crazy. Chance? There's got to be more than just that. So if no one was murdered on the police department on the day of the crime, that means the murder in the prosecutor's office parking lot was the real one. Which in turn means only one person could have committed the crime. Chief Prosecutor Lana Skye. Still on that? But wait! A verdict wasn't reached in yesterday's trial. Which is why we examined the incident at the police department today. Oh man, it was all traps! But there's only one reason the defendant was not convicted yesterday. There yet remained the mystery of the simultaneous murder at the police department. Seems to me, the boys got the draw on you, partner. All of the mysteries of the police department have been resolved, no doubt about it. Our sole murder took place at the prosecutor's office. The only suspect is Lana Skye. And the testimony of one Miss Angel Star is completely uncontestable. If you have a response, make it a single word or less. Arg! God. Man, it was all traps. All along, Edgeworth, baby boy. Baby. I rest my case. I said the thing. Oh, God. It seems this trial has reached its conclusion. There's no room for doubt. Well done, Mr. Wright. Thanks to you, I didn't need to waste my time disproving the alleged murder at the police department. Jesus Christ. There's no doubt what I proved today is true. The apparent murder on the security camera's tape really was fake. But I didn't realize that it would end up proving Lana guilty. Now then, the time for the verdict has arrived. The court finds the defendant. Oh! Ooh! Ooh! Your Honor, wait! Emma! The defense has an objection. A scientific objection. Right? What do you mean, right? Mr. Wright? Are you this girl's guardian? Your Honor? Oh, in a sense. Please, Your Honor, all I'm asking is for a minute of your time. Please hear me out. Mr. Edgeworth, please. I don't want to leave any loose ends. You want a minute? I'll give you 3. Oh! Wow! I was kind of in a shock. I mean, finding out the SL9 incident referred to the Joe Dark killings. Now that she mentions it, the names of both Sky Sisters were in that file, yeah. But that's when I figured it out. I mean, what Officer Marshall was trying to do that day. So I knew his fingerprint had nothing to do with the crime. That left only one thing. The other handprint. You mean the traces of blood found on Detective Gumshoe's locker? But no fingerprints were found on it, right? No, but I figured if I examined it scientifically, I'd be sure to find a clue. So, I ran over there and looked at it again. So, did you find something? No. What? Sorry. I guess I'm not much of a scientific investigator after all. Is that all? Please don't be mad. I'm just a high school student. I am just an attorney. But, Mr. Wright, those traces of blood are the only clue we have. If you can't find something wrong with them, please, Mr. Wright, you're a professional. If anyone can save Lana, it's you. Me? Oh boy. Time's up. Now then, Mr. Wright. With regard to the incident at the police department, is there a reasonable doubt? Does any reasonable doubt remain? It appears the defense is troubled by the other blood mark. Looking at the floor plans, a handprint was discovered around here. Is there a problem with this? Mr. Wright, I'm sorry I can't be of any more use. But still, if you can't find anything wrong with this blood mark, Lana will be... Please answer my question, Mr. Wright. We don't have all day. Yes, Your Honor. If ever I needed to concentrate, it's now. Oh, boy! What could be wrong with the handprint on Detective Gumshoe's locker? Could there be something I'm missing? I mean, obviously I object, but like... What could there be the problem with this? This handprint left at the crime scene clearly shows a contradiction. The only thing that seems to be clear is you're grasping, Mr. Wright. You've been staring pretty intently at those floor plans. Tell me, is there a problem with them? Yes, this is strange. No, wait, let's go over them. Let's go over them. Because, let's see. Wait a second. Did the blood claim to be on the middle of the rightmost of the middle set of lockers, or was it that? Because the blood is on the leftmost part of the leftmost lockers, and then in the middle, lockers, it's on the rightmost locker, and then there's the big pool of blood that's right there. Take a good look at these floor plans. Something is missing. Yeah, the blood that's on the leftmost thing and the other one. Missing? You mean something hasn't been drawn on there? Yes. Something that, when drawn, will completely change the meaning of the blood mark. Let us pray the defense isn't simply trying to buy time. Very well, Mr. Wright. With all this evidence here, there's got to be something I can use. The question is, which item can prove that something was missing in the floor plans? Which item? Well, this case... Wait a minute, the jar? Because there were jars at the crime scene, and we put them back together, so... Could it be that, though? No, wait a minute, wait a minute. No, not the... No! I mean, we did find the things at the crime scene. Wait a minute, hold on a second. Which allegedly dancing on the time of the thing. But then there's the, like, is it that? Because does it look any different? Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, this is like, because I think the Blue Badger was like, yeah, I think so. Because the blood mark was clearly, like, right there. Was clearly on the rightmost locker in the middle of the room. So it's like, why would the Blue Badger be specifically placed to block that? What about that piece of plywood? The Blue Badger, mascot of the police force. Defender of truth, guardian of proof. Explain yourself, Mr. Wright. Please look at the floor plans at the scene of the crime. The Blue Badger is not there. So watch what happens when we put him in. This is where he was dancing at the time of the crime. Yeah, because you couldn't even see the blood right there if he was dancing. Well, what? Gasp! That's right. So long as the Blue Badger is dancing there, it would be impossible to place a handprint in the spot on the locker. Yeah, dude! Wow! Yeah! Wait, so that means, what exactly does that mean? This means it can't be done. What are you saying? Blood traces are undeniably found on the locker. Don't look at me, I didn't put it there. Mr. Wright, think it through scientifically. Emma. On that afternoon, Officer Meekins was the one who brought in the Blue Badger in the evidence room, right? Yeah, he did. After he put it down, it would be impossible to leave a handprint on the locker. So that must mean this blood mark was left there before it brought it. Yeah. Wait just one moment. I will not allow any far-fetched balderdash in my courtroom. Really? It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor. Yeah. Far-fetched balderdash. Yeah, right. Like this game isn't full of balderdash already. I mean that in a good way, though. It may sound far-fetched, Your Honor, but it's the only possible explanation. On February 21st, in the police department's evidence room, blood was spilled not once, but twice. But how? One time was captured on this tape, taken by the security camera. Officer Meekins cut his hand, from which a trivial amount of blood fell. The problem is the other time. Do you think that maybe after the camera turned to there, then he could have... Someone bled prior to the struggle on his tape. It had to have been. It had to have been. Detective Goodman, when he was really murdered. What? That's ridiculous! I refuse to accept your absurd claim! The murder portrayed in the security tape has been proven to be a fake. However, that does not explain the blood mark found on the locker. Jesus, we're having an objection battle! So then, assuming this murder what the fuck, really happened, when did it take place? I demand you show evidence that proves when it occurred. When did the first incident occur? To summarize, the defense claims that prior to Officer Meekins being cut by Jake Marshall, who was posing as Detective Goodman, another incident took place in that evidence room. That's right. The blood mark on the locker proves this. Very well, then tell us. When did this first incident occur? As Miss Edgeworth said, proof must be presented. Proof that shows when the murder took place. Yeah. I mean, I just had to look at that because, like, because there's one thing still left unanswered with that. Why does the ID card record show 777777 who entered at 4:20 p.m.? There's only one piece of evidence that can show that. Now then, will the defense present its evidence? That's what I'm thinking. Because why would there be someone entered at 4:20 p.m. to enter the evidence room? And that's clearly connected to that. If the crime took place inside the evidence room, then the killer would have to enter it. And in order to do so, an ID card must have been required. An ID card? Oh, the ID card record. Officer Meekins brought the Blue Badger panel into the evidence room at, let's see here, 4:50 p.m. If the crime took place before that time, then it would be 4:40 p.m. Ah! Miles Edgeworth! Just what have you done? What? No. We're talking about the 420 guy. Are you serious? I never would have figured you had the nerve, boy. Drop the act, witness. It doesn't take a lot of thought to figure out it couldn't have been me. Nope, I ain't getting it. I'm afraid I don't understand either. It's clear from the luminal tests that blood was there. However, when the second crime took place, both Officer Meekins and Officer Marshall failed to notice the blood. That means the blood from the first crime was wiped away by the real murderer. That would have just been 10 minutes after the murder to the murder victim to carry this blood. Yeah, I would have had just 10 minutes to murder the victim, carry his body away, and clean up the blood. Unfortunately, it's physically impossible. That would mean the crime must have taken place before Mr. Edgeworth entered the evidence room. Let's look at the chart again. There's only one other card number remaining. All 7s. Talk about a lucky number. But wait, that doesn't make any sense. How could Detective Goodman have entered the evidence room? Since there's no record of his card being used beforehand, he must have entered along with the real murderer. Probably. There's only one plausible explanation. He went in with 777. Mr. Edgeworth, take a look into this ASAP. Find out whose ID number is 7777777. That's 17 too many, Your Honor. Unfortunately, I'm unable to look up the owner of the ID card. At least, at present. What? Explain yourself, son. The ID number 7 belongs to someone with the rank of captain or higher. Someone who is a so-called executive officer. We don't have the authority to inquire into such a person's identity. Do you? That's ridiculous. Just how? I'm not finished talking, Mr. Wright. There's one situation in which we can be granted such authority. If an official charge filed against an executive is accepted. An official charge. You're all like, aren't you? With your cover-ups and your forgeries. That's how the prosecutor's office operates. Yeah, I take pride in my work, Officer Marshall. I would appreciate it if you kept your slander to yourself. Slander, is it? Okay. Let me ask a question. Yes? No, not to you. To her. The defendant sitting over there. your own little executive. Lana? Don't be stupid. She's been charged with murder. Of course, we looked up her ID number, and it's not 7. Don't play me for a fool, partner. That's not what I wanted to ask. All I want to know is one thing about that incident. The SL9 incident? Answer me this, Chief Prosecutor. In that trial 2 years ago, did you really only use legitimate evidence? Did she? Did she? Do you need the witness to repeat his question, Chief Prosecutor? I heard him fine, Mr. Edgeworth. 2 years ago, I was in charge of the prosecution for that trial. At the time, occasionally, we felt the powerlessness of the law. At least, I did. Oh shit. Lana! I became a prosecutor in order to suppress crime with the law. But before I realized it, we were the ones being suppressed by the law. Defendant, just what are you saying? I'll ask you again, Chief Prosecutor. During that trial 2 years ago, did you really present all the evidence in court? Can you look me, an investigator in the crime, in the eye and say that you did? Chief Prosecutor, she didn't use fake evidence. I don't have to, Officer Marshall. Why won't you answer him? Drastic crimes require drastic measures. That's just the way it is. We did what we had to in order for him to get the verdict he deserved. But Lana, even if it involved forging evidence, dude, and she looks sad to do that. Jesus. See? That's what I'm talking about. No. No! Jesus! Lana's remarks caused such a stir. The chaos in the courtroom could not be quelled. Jesus Christ! The conclusion of the trial would have to wait until the following day. Jesus! There's really no words for it to say it. Just like, wow! When did this case go from like a 0 to 100? Holy God! I really don't know what else to say. God. Okay, I guess investigation. Holy fucking gee. I guess investigation will have to. Oh my God. Okay, just bye. I need to process. Oh my God. How? This turned out to be a simple case too, and it's just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? The twists involved, man. Okay. I'm gonna need to process this. I'm gonna need to process it. Build a case once we get like all the evidence for the investigation, and holy. All right, see you guys on next time. Shit.